What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Something in Common. I'm Blackberry.
I'm Nino.
And we are here for a very special episode that I'm being forced to record. You can't see it right now, but there is a gun to my head.
He isn't being forced. He is being held accountable. Two different things.
We are going to be talking about grief today.
The side eye is crazy. This is not even like for the camera. This is legit crazy side eye right now.
So we are going to be talking about grief today, which is something that most people, if you are lucky enough to have experienced, but our experience together is our maternal grief. And so if you can relate to that or any other type of grief, then this might be your episode.
I mean, that just sounded really like well put together and so educated. If your mom died, then this episode is for you.
Where do we even start with this?
I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it happened to you first. I'm new here.
Oh, it happened to me first?
I'm new
okay,
here.
got it. Yeah, so it's been about 16 years for me now. So I was obviously, much younger than I am now, clearly. And are we supposed to go? Do you want me to go into detail? I'm comfortable with going into detail.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll
my
see
mom.
what you do.
Okay. So my mom had cancer, and really, from the time that I was like 10 to like 13, she was just sort of like decaying over time, and like I could see it, but I understood it completely different than the way that I do now. Like when I look at pictures, I'm just like, there was no way she was gonna live. Like, but in my mind at that age, you're just like, oh, like you're sick. Okay, you'll get over it. I think mostly because you just don't picture your mom like ever dying. Yeah. So I think that's what it's been. But my journey has been a little bit different because I don't have any parents at all. And so I think even sort of processing everything, I don't think I really comprehended and really understood everything or even really started talking about stuff until the 10-year anniversary. So, but it's been already like a couple years since then too.
Okay. So you said it was expected. Do you remember?
It was in hindsight, but at the time being, it wasn't. Like I didn't expect it.
Do you remember like any initial feelings you had once it first happened?
Yeah, I was actually mad at her. Like I was like, how you gonna die? You know, like it wasn't like, you can't control it. But at the time I was just like, how you gonna die? And also like, I've always been very, I don't want to say career driven because I don't know that I had the verbiage yet at that age, but I've always been very interested in like having nice things. And so I remember feeling like when she died, hearing like side chatter from like family and like sometimes even not necessarily my friends, but like family friends, like he's a lost cause. He already doesn't have a dad. And then like this happened and like all of those things. And so I kind of almost felt like she was the only, it kind of put in my brain at the time that she was the only way that I would reach any type of success or any type of anything that amounted to something. So I kind of felt angry too. Like I felt like she took my dreams with her.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel robbed because she passed when you were so young?
I used to feel that way. Like when I was a teenager, I used to feel that way because like missing out on like prom or like, and then even when I got older, like when I moved into my first apartment, or like she never had a cell phone, she never had a driver's license, like she never had a car. So like when I got all of those things, I felt that way. And even I think as an adult, I don't feel like I've been robbed. I think that feeling before was like, I felt like, damn, like why didn't I get this? But now I just feel like grateful that I can still do all these things and she's not here. Just because I thought for so long, like, oh, when she died.
So you mentioned you were angry, and I wanted to go over the stages of grief. And I want to see if you experienced.
Okay, that's fun.
Most of these. So there's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And this is from healthline.com, by the way.
Okay.
Do you identify with any of those other ones besides anger?
Denial. I'm trying to think if I ever went through that stage of denial. I think I did. Yeah, I think for a while I went through denial, but it looked different because, like, you know, when you're young, it looks different. I also want to say this because I think people are under the assumption, and it makes sense because I used to think the same way before my mom died, like that we're just crying all the time, or that we're just like walking around like loathing life. Like I love my life and I love I love people, but I think my denial at that age wasn't like, I can't believe this is happening. This isn't my life. I just was very much so closed off that, like, if anyone even tried to bring it up, I'd just be like, okay, like, it's okay. You know, like, I was like, no, we don't have to talk about this. Like, I don't want to talk about it. And I want people to look at me or treat me different. I still kind of am that way in the sense of, like, I don't want to be treated different. Like, I don't need sympathy. But I think that was my denial. What's the other one?
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I'm not sure what bargaining is.
I was going to ask you. I feel like bargaining is like...
Bargaining is described as you may feel vulnerable and helpless in those moments of intense emotions. It's not uncommon to look for ways to regain control or to want to feel like you can affect the outcome of an event. In the bargaining stage of grief, you may find yourself creating a lot of what if and if only statements. Okay.
Yes. In that case, yes. But I think that mine was valid. Because she did have cancer, and they found it, like, I think let's say like in January, and she didn't do anything about it. And I remember overhearing her talk and like me crying about it because, like, I didn't know what was going on, and she was like being secretive, and she was like, do you want me to go? And I was like, no, it's okay. But she wasn't gonna go anyway because it wasn't up to me. But I remember at the time thinking like, ooh, like maybe I should have said go.
That's interesting because an example they have of bargaining is terminal illness diagnosis. If only we had gone to the doctor sooner, we could have stopped this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she did go sooner. She just didn't do anything about it. Yeah, because she was afraid. Just for context, she was 32. No, yeah, she was 32 when she got sick. Like, we are so close to that. So, like, I get the idea of being afraid. It's actually made me like a hypochondriac to where, like, if I'm coughing for 2 days straight, I'm like, I need to go to the ER.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then depression, I think all of us, I think that's just kind of comes with the territory. But I didn't have depression in, like spotty waves, like how some people, I think, experience it. I think mine was, like, I pushed it off for so long, and then I think it came out after my first breakup. I think that's when I
triggered the depression. And what was the last one? Acceptance. Have you accepted?
Oh yeah, I'm like so like at peace with it. Like, I think there's so much beauty in death now, and there's just like, it doesn't affect me the same way. I mean, clearly I was like, let's talk about it. You were like, no. So I know that you're not there yet, which is fine. It took me 10 plus years. It took me 16 years to get here.
I don't know that I haven't accepted it. I'm very realistic about life. Like, I'm very aware of this is the life cycle. If you're lucky, your parent goes first. You go next. Not next, but, you know, after. I'm very aware that she's gone. She can't come back. Like, I've accepted it.
Okay.
My sisters.
Accepting it, I think, means being at peace with it.
Let's see what the internet says. They say acceptance is... there's 7 stages of grief.
What's the other ones?
Okay, they say the 7 stages of grief are another popular model for explaining whatever: shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, the upward turn, reconstruction and working through, acceptance and hope. That actually goes into like more detail, actually.
Yeah, I think I definitely did the reconstruction and hope thing because for a long time I didn't talk about her, and then I actually started doing things like to celebrate her. So like, and that made me feel really good. Like, for her birthday, I would host like an actual birthday party, and I would make people, well, I wouldn't make them, but I would tell them like, make her favorite food, and I would make playlists with all her favorite music, and it would be like a good time. Like, it was just a party. And then like for her death anniversary, I would again host a party, and like we would just celebrate life. And it never felt like, I mean, we would obviously share stories about her, but it was never like this like sad feeling like, oh, we're still doing this. It was, I don't know, just felt good. It felt nice to me, like on her birthday, because, you know, I can't do anything. Like I could go to store and get flowers and go to the cemetery, but like
Yeah.
it felt so much different going to the store and like buying decorations and like, you know, setting up, like doing that stuff. It was a lot of fun.
We had one party for my mom after she passed for what would have been, I don't know how old she would have turned, but I think we did it like the year after she passed. It was just a big party. Her favorite color was green, so it was like green and white.
I think I went to the store with you when you went to get like balloons and stuff. Do you remember that in Chicago?
Because I think, is that the same year you moved?
Probably.
I think that was the same.
Yeah, it was 2021.
And that was in August.
It was in August. Your mom's birthday, Leo.
Okay, so that was the same time. So yeah,
which goes back to the relocation episode, which is we didn't plan for him to be in Chicago. He just happened to be out there.
Now we find out the truth about that. Okay.
Thank you.
But I do little things now, like you talk about like celebrating her. I'll just, because I have pictures of her like on my kitchen counter, but like tucked away in a corner, so I don't have to look at them all the time. If I want to look at them, they're there. But like if I'm thinking about her, I'll light up a white candle and like
yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Have you ever, I don't know what's on the agenda, but have you ever had any type of like spiritual like awareness or anything like that, or just like supernatural like sort of coincidence?
Right after she passed, it was the weirdest thing. I was on my sister's couch and I could have been dreaming, I could have like imagined this, but I think I was awake. And I believe in stuff like this because like even after like other family members have died, I've seen things that like are reminiscent of this person. And I believe in stuff like that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to watch like, I'm going off topic, but I'm coming back.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I used to watch like haunting like stuff, like Ghostbusters, like they would go to like haunted prisons and stuff. So I think I've always like been okay with that. And I've also, when I was younger, had, but anyway.
Okay.
I was sitting on my sister's couch in the living room and I saw her walk past me, and she walked out of the living room onto the street, but like she walked like straight through the window. And when I got up, I was like, was I asleep? Did I just see that? That was the only like supernatural like thing I can think of that
I've had a few actually. The first time was actually when she passed. I knew that she passed. So I was in school, and I'll never forget. It was Thursday, and I used to get out of school at 2:05. And I remember looking up at the clock, like, you know, regular, like, you know, oh, are we almost out, you know, because I was in high school. And I looked up, and it was 2:03, and like there was just like, I don't know. I don't have the words for it, but I just remember my body feeling very like, almost like on fire. Like it was like, it just lit up. And I was like, she died. Like I just like, it was just very instant. It was just very instant. And like, as we got out of school, like I felt like my walking was off. Like everything just felt different. And then we got on the bus, and I guess, you know, they were like, my friends obviously knew what was going on. And one of my best friends at the time, his mom used to like kind of take me to the hospital to see her, or like just distract me, you know, do things with me and her son. And he asked me that time on the bus, he's like what happens, like, you know, dude, like if she dies, like, and that was he never asked me that question. And I didn't really like it felt very like, this is confirmation. And I just was like, like it's not gonna happen, dude, it's okay. And then obviously later on, like confirming it did. But when they told me, I wasn't like in shock. I was very much like, I told them like, okay, I knew. Like that was my response. Like I knew. And then the most recent time, which is a little bit more lighthearted, I was in Jamaica with my, did I tell you the story?
I don't know.
I was in Jamaica with my godmother in November for her birthday, who happened to be best friends with my mom. They've been best friends since they were like in second grade. And my sisters and I, we were going to go parasailing, and they ended up switching our boat. And we were all excited because, you know, we were going to get pictures, and like it was a Jamaican flag. You know, we wanted to be all like, we're in Jamaica. And we saw this one was like purple, and we were just like, you know. So we got on this boat. We didn't know other people were going to get on the boat. We got on the boat, and the girls, they go up and it has like the cancer ribbon, like the pink cancer ribbon, and it's purple. And all of us were already kind of thinking about my mom because it was a girls trip. The only reason I was invited because I'm gay. So it was all the girls there. So they were obviously kind of like, oh my God, she would have been here with us and we would have been doing this. It was a 50th birthday. It would have been a big deal. And the other women that got on the boat were also celebrating their 50th birthday. And so when my sisters went up together, I started talking to the birthday girl, and she's like, yeah, you know, I'm super excited. And I was like, what's your name? And she's like, well, what's your godmother's name? And I was like, her name is Cindy. She's like, my name is Carmen. Tell Cindy I said happy birthday. And my mom's name was Carmen. So I was just like, there's no such thing as coincidences. Like this, it was too obvious. Yeah. And then at that point, but see, I've made so much peace with it that after she said that, I was like, why are you in Jamaica in my business right now? Like, girl, you go be somewhere else.
That was absolutely, yeah. I believe in stuff like that, for sure. Well, in terms of stages of grief, I don't know that I went through denial because I accepted it like almost immediately. Yeah. I was like, okay, I kind of accepted it. And I'll explain why. Like, I kind of accepted it before I knew she died.
You know what's so weird? I remember you telling me, like, but when you moved out there, like, you were very, like, I feel like I shouldn't be out here. Or, like, if I'm out here, something's going to happen. Yeah. And I used to be like, why are you saying that? Like, yeah. But I never dug into that. Like, I never, and we don't have to on the podcast if you're not ready for that either. I didn't mean to put you, like, on the spot.
Yeah, I didn't know you were going to say that. When I moved to Houston, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt like she was probably gonna go soon. Like, I just felt it.
Do you think that was like the universe, or like, let's just say God? Like, do you think that was God protecting you, like, from maybe being there while that was gonna happen? I feel like maybe it would have affected you differently. I used to pray to God. So, like, I knew that my mom, like, I used to, because I would hear things and I would just pray because she was obviously sick at home. And I would pray every night, like, just don't let her die in the house. Because I was like, I don't want to wake up and, like, be terrified.
For me, it was like, I feel like God was preparing me for it. Because I was away from her. Like, I didn't see her the last 7 months of her life. I saw her once on her birthday in August. That's when well, no, that was before that, but I surprised her on her birthday in August
of the same year that she passed.
The same year that she passed, which I'm so glad I did. And then I came again for Thanksgiving, and I was supposed to go for Christmas, but I was like, I can't afford it, and she was like, that's okay, like, I'll see you next time, whatever. But I really don't know how to explain, and I don't know if I've ever really told anybody but you. And I actually have a note in my phone that I wrote, like, during that time where I was like, I feel like I left her alone. Wow. So I think God was preparing me to, like, not have her when I moved out there. That's how I feel. Okay. So denial and acceptance, I don't know that I went through those because I was. Like, I feel
maybe
like I was
not denial, but was there ever a time where you felt like, I can't believe this is happening to me?
Oh yeah,
maybe that's I think maybe not a form of denial, but like
probably
maybe a little bit of that.
Yeah. I was like, especially like the first few days, I was like, is this happening to me? Like, is this real? Like, I will wake up out of my sleep crying. I still to this day, like, randomly will wake up out of my sleep. I mean,
it's still very new. Like, it's still very, very new for you.
It hasn't even been 4 years.
Yeah, it's very, very new for you. Do you think that it would have affected you? I know that we have things on there. I'm sorry. Do you think that it would have affected you or not that it didn't affect you, but do you think that there's a difference between, like, someone like me where it happened very young versus you as an adult? Do you think it matters in terms of, I think they're both impactful and significant, but do you feel like there's just a difference?
I feel like I didn't have enough time.
Wow. Wow. I was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah. I feel like I did not have enough time with her as there wasn't a point until after I moved again where I realized that my mother was a human being and not just my mother. Yeah. I did not have that come to Jesus moment until 2020, no lie. Wow. And in that same year, like, I remember I went to this is a long story, but I went to this Japanese garden in Houston, to meditate. And I didn't even know I was going there to meditate. I just went there because I was like, oh, let's go to a Japanese garden. I didn't know what the fuck that was. And I went there and I just meditated. And in the meditation, it was a guided meditation. Mm-hmm. And the person doing the voiceover was like, something about forgiveness. They kept saying forgiveness. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I forgive her. Mm-hmm. Like for everything. Mm-hmm. Like anything that went on, I had that moment. And that's kind of like one of my regrets. I never got to tell her that like I forgive her for like anything that ever went on. I mean, you still can. Well, she might know now. I don't know.
She may know, but it's different when you
say it.
Yeah.
So what was the point that I was making there?
You said that you feel like you didn't have enough time.
Oh, I didn't have enough time. But thinking about you and like how young you were, it kind of gives me a different perspective of it. It's like I didn't have like enough time. Like there's never going to be enough time. Right. But I had more than what a lot of people are afforded.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know that I never really felt, honestly, I've never felt like I didn't have enough time, which is so weird. That's why I was so surprised that you said that, because I honestly think if it would have happened at, what were we, 25 in 2020 or 24? And like just thinking about, I don't know, I think it would be more weight for me to deal with it. Like having built more like experiences and all this stuff. Like I feel like I was lucky in that sense because there's a lot that wasn't like established yet. You know, like I never got to have like a teenage relationship with her or a young adult or an adult or any of those type of things. It was always just like kid and mom. And so I think when you process it from that perspective of, oh, I'm a kid and like I don't have a mom anymore versus like I'm an adult, what do I do, you know?
Bargaining. I don't know if I did any bargaining. Well, how did they describe bargaining?
Like, if I would have done that,
there was some bargaining because I do have a lot of guilt associated with how she died.
Have you let go of any of that?
No. So my bargaining was, if I had not had, because so my mom lived with me from the time, because I got my first apartment when I was 19. Mm-hmm. She had not had her own apartment since I was in like 6th grade. Mm-hmm. So like we're talking like 12. So we were always just like living with other people. So when I got my own apartment, she ended up living with me, and she lived with me on and off from like 19 until I moved to Houston. So my bargaining was, if I had not left, she would have still been with me, and what happened would not have happened.
Right.
Did I tell you how she passed?
No. I remember I asked. So I remember where I was when you called me. I was actually in Colorado. I believe I was in Aspen, and we were gonna do like snow shit. And I remember that day you called me and you were just like, and mind you, I said you don't ever call me, so I knew that I was like, what's going on? And when you called me, I remember it just like, it always breaks my heart because like I know what it feels like to be in that space. And so anytime I know that someone has entered the same room as me, it's never like, I mean,
it's people, never like welcome. It's like,
yeah, like people can cry. Like if you haven't experienced it, obviously you're gonna cry because you feel for that person, but it's different when you know what they're about to go through. Yeah. And it hurt me as a friend to be like, oh my God, like this is what you have to go through now. So that was heavy. But when I asked you, you were like, I don't want to talk about that. And I just said, okay. And I never asked you again.
The full truth is we don't really know the actual cause of death.
I do remember you telling me that too. And you were like, I think that we need to do an autopsy. And they were like, no, it's okay. And like, yeah.
My theory is, well, I'll say this. She always answers the phone. Mm-hmm. And if she doesn't, she always calls you back. So we had been calling her for a couple days. And she wasn't answering. Mm. And at the time, she had like a little Android because her iPhone broke. So we couldn't FaceTime her, but we had like, I don't know what they call it on. It's an app that you can FaceTime people with on Android. Duo.
Like WhatsApp?
Duo.
Okay. Not my Mexican came out.
And sometimes I still scroll past, like, because I took a screenshot of me, like, FaceTiming her not answering,
Mm-hmm.
and I sent it to, like, our group chat with me and my sisters. And I'm like, she's still not answering. So that was, like, December 23rd and December 24th. Like, we could not get in touch with her.
Mm-hmm.
And December 24th was especially weird because my uncle's, her brother, his birthday was December 24th. And he passed a long time ago. And so she would always call us and talk about him on his birthday. Or like, you know, we would always have a conversation about him on his birthday.
Yeah.
And she would always cry about him. Like, she grieved a lot.
Wow.
She grieved a lot of family members, even her mom. Up until the day she died. Her mom had been dead by the time she died for like 25 years. Because I was 25 at the time.
Wow.
So just talking about maternal grief, like,
yeah.
It's something now that I expect to never get over because I know my mother never got over it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so on December 25th, like early in the morning, my sister called me and I was like, I knew immediately. Yeah. And it was like.
How did your sister find out?
She went, because by this time my mama had finally got her own apartment.
Mm-hmm. I remember you told me about that.
And she was like very excited about that. And we were all very excited about that because it was like different for her because she had been with other people for so long. And we didn't have a key to the apartment, I don't think. Or maybe we did, but I think she might have had the chain on the door or something.
Oh, okay.
But either way, we couldn't get in. My sister couldn't get in. So they had to break the door down, my sister and her fiance. And she was just...
Oh, Freddie, we don't have to record this part, and you don't have to talk about it either.
Anyway, they found her, and
yeah, that's a lot. No, that's a lot. Especially, it's okay. It's okay. Especially like
I've never said that out loud.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, I think what helps us, even if we don't want to be in that space and in those emotions where we remember those type of conversations, those are the things that I don't know, they've helped me a lot, because for a long time I remember feeling so weird that none of my family ever talked about my mom, and then they were like, well, you never talk about her and we didn't want to upset you. And I'm like, no, I think we need to do this. Like, we need to cry together, we need to do this, like all of those things. And I think being able to have a space where I could cry, and like even some, I remember one Mother's Day, that's the only holiday that I think sometimes I never know how I'm gonna feel, like if I'm gonna be like, I could be happy the whole week, and then I'm like, oh, tomorrow's Mother's Day, and then like I wake up and I'm just like on the floor, like, just Lord, take me now. Like, so I get it, but I always try to just embrace those feelings, and I let myself be in the space. And what was even more embarrassing is that where my mom is buried, on Mother's Day they have people outside giving you flowers to take to the like the headstone. No, it's not okay, Freddie, because one day I could barely even see the road because I was crying the entire way there. And I had to go, I don't got no tints on my windows, I had to go and take some flowers from this, a fishbowl, take flowers from this man looking crazy, like, okay, yeah, thank you, all right, I gotta go. But yeah, just being in the space and sometimes saying things out loud, it's definitely helped. I mean, like I said, you're still so early in it. I never even talked about anything till 10 years. So
me and my sisters don't talk about it.
And you probably won't talk about it for a while.
Yeah. We still haven't gone through her stuff.
Yeah, you see, until it feels. I remember I was angry when we had to like give her like she was a big clothes person. Like, she had a big like closet that just went rows and rows and rows. And obviously when you're a kid, you're just like, don't touch my mom's stuff, you know, like leave it there. Yeah. And like you can't leave that stuff there. So that was hard for me, where it was like I had to watch her stuff be given away or like thrown away or like, you know, all those things, because I couldn't keep everything.
Yeah, we haven't gone through anything. We just kind of like packed up her apartment and
Yeah.
It's still in my sister's basement.
I think when the time comes, it's going to be very therapeutic, and it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. Like, it'll feel very, I don't know.
I'm actually ready to go through her stuff.
No, you
maybe
are.
she left us a check.
Maybe she left a check for y'all, right?
Like, they don't want to go through it.
I think you guys should all do it together. And so I think when everyone's ready,
that's what we want to do.
You'll feel safe. You'll feel like we're ready to do this as a unit.
I think what was harder for me than her actually dying, first of all, I don't think I've ever made sounds the way I was screaming. I don't think I've ever heard myself ever replicate those sounds. Like, it was something feral.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it first happened. But I think what was harder for me was, and we talked about acceptance, was the funeral.
I was just about to ask about the funeral.
Yeah.
How was that for you? I remember I went and you were very like calm, but you reminded me so much of me when I was at the funeral. But I want you to go, and then I'll tell you the part that reminded me the most.
The funeral itself for me, I approached it in a very pragmatic way, because again, I was like, she's dead, we need to pick a casket, we need to make sure she look right.
Were you part of that? Were you picking everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
We all had to, like, I remember like when we went to go look at the caskets, like it was me and my sisters, and they didn't want to go in the room. Well, it was me, one of my sisters, and my auntie, I think. I'm not sure. The casket room that they had, like, my sister like couldn't walk in. And I just went past her. I'm like, girl, we got to pick a casket. Like, like, we got to kind of like get this over with right now. Like, it sucks. But, and then you get in there and you get the caskets. $1 million for a casket.
I know.
Dying is expensive.
It's very expensive.
So that was one of the things. But I think the actual hardest part, which I didn't expect to be the hardest part, was like driving behind her hearse.
Ooh.
That was like, I was like, oh, this is actually happening like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the part, I don't know if you remember this, but when I showed up, I remember you were like militant. Like, I knew that you had your game face on, and you were like not patrolling, but you were just like, the flowers are crooked, I need you over here. Like, it was very like that. And I remember you saying, like, this lipstick, this is not her lipstick. She would not be wearing this lipstick. And I was like, okay, tell them. And you were like, I want to, but I don't know. I don't want to make a scene. And I was like, tell them. And I think eventually you guys did end up telling them, no?
That part is, I think my brain blocked out.
Okay. Well, I do remember the funeral like it was yesterday, honestly. And I remember like being like, wow, you guys are twins. Like, you look just like your mom.
I do. And the older I get, the more I look like her. Yeah.
Yeah. But I remembered when I went and we had to pick out a casket. Do you remember the name of the casket that you picked? I remember the name of it still.
All I remember is that we ended up putting like a military seal on the inside. But I don't remember the name of it.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
I do remember the name of the casket that we picked. I remember the flowers. I kind of was in charge of everything. I picked out her outfit. Supposedly you can't put perfume on a corpse. I didn't know that.
Why would you?
I guess because she was big on perfume. So I was like, we'll put perfume on her. And they were like, you can't, because like, I guess of like the chemicals or whatever, like should have blown up. I mean, I don't know if that's true. I just made
it probably would have stunk, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, because perfume, it matches with your like actual physical chemistry. So it wouldn't have been the same. But yeah, I picked all of that out. I picked out her wig, everything. But the hardest part for me was not, in a very weird, morbid way. Like, I don't know, we're just going to be honest here.
Yeah.
It felt very, like, I remember being there, like, I was excited to see her. Like, she never made me afraid of death, because we used to watch, like, fucking crime shows and, like, Dr. G and, you know, all those things. So I was never afraid. Like, I kind of almost went excited. Like, oh, my God, I want to see how you look. Like, I was very like that, but I was also, the child in me was still very afraid. Like, I don't think I want to see this, because I didn't want that to be the last memory. And so I went, but I wasn't afraid of her. She didn't look scary. I think that was the only thing that I was like really worried about. She didn't look scary. But the hardest part for me, the part that reminded me of me was, I was like, this casket doesn't look right. Like, this angle is not right. Why do they got this over here? Like, I was very like that. But the part that really, really hit me, it wasn't even seeing her in the casket. It wasn't, because in a weird way, it kind of brought me peace to feel close to her. Because I hadn't seen her. Feeling. I seen her in the hospital, but I didn't see her. I seen her the 20th, and then she died on the 22nd. But they weren't letting me go to the hospital. So the next time that I seen her from the 20th was at the funeral, which was like a week later. But what really, really hit me was like when it was time to close it. And I didn't even expect it because, again, I was feeling cool like the first time. And then did they let you ring her down? Like,
no, you know what I'm talking about? But we carried the casket.
Okay. So there's like basically caskets they don't look very deep, but they actually are. And so there's like a key, and you have to it lowers the body into the casket, and then you can close it. Okay. And so they were like, "Oh, do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Okay." We did it, and then they were closing it, and then I remember my heart being like, "We can't close that. We're gonna put her in the dark." Like, again, me being like very like young, and I just remember that feeling. Like, it was. I think that was that was the part that was so crushing for me. That was like, we have to close this. Like, what? Are you sure?
The closing was like full acceptance for me. And then we didn't actually see her go in the ground because she's a veteran, so they take care of the burial. Like, we just have the service at the cemetery. Well, we had the service at the funeral home, then at the cemetery, and then they take care of the rest.
We did watch the burial. So I
don't know if I could have handled that.
It was interesting. So I remember when we went to go look at the plot, like, we had to approve everything, and I remember not liking that part. I remember feeling like, why do I have to, like, we don't need to see the whole, like, I was so angry about that part. And then when we were there, like, watching everything, it was interesting. Like, it was very interesting because, like, in my mind, I kept picturing what she looked like. And like, it just wasn't clicking. Like, you're in this box going in the ground, and she didn't want to be buried. She wanted to be cremated. So there was that part. But we didn't they didn't like give us shovels or anything like that. They offered afterwards, like, once they covered, like, oh, there's some like dirt. Do you want to move it over? And I did that.
Damn, I had a question. I forgot. I kind of got sidetracked just then. What do we have here? Let's look at the list because I'm a little disoriented.
You're blanking. I will say this. Part of the denial for me, I think, was I wanted it to feel like it just happened. I remember wanting it to feel new. Like, I didn't want to feel like it's been so long without having a mom. And so there were like little physical things that were happening. So I remember like New Year's. So she died in October. And I remember New Year's, oh my God, I was just like a mess. And it wasn't just because like, oh, not my mom. I was like, oh my God, we're leaving the year that she was alive in. Like, that was a big deal. And then on the grave, I don't know if you had this, like, there's like a marker, like an actual metal plate.
Okay.
And I guess like they forgot it but it's so weird, like how the universe does these things. Because I remember thinking in my head, like, when they move this, then oh no, it's been a long time. And I guess they forgot to move it. So the grass had like grown over it for a little while, and it just brought me the most comfort. And then when I think like maybe the 6th or 7th year, they finally got rid of it. And I was so mad.
I think to your point, I think this is what I was trying to say. Actually going to the funeral and seeing her in the casket was kind of like the closure that I think was necessary because she died so unexpectedly. So me going to see her at the wake for the first time was like...
Were you scared?
No. I just went right up to the casket because I wanted to see what was... I more so wanted to see what they had did to her. Oh. I was like... And then when we got there, she had like a booger in her nose. And I'm like...
That wasn't no booger.
Well, whatever. And that's what they said too. It's like, it's not a booger. It's probably like something else. But it's like...
It was probably the stuff that they use.
I'm like, somebody needs to get this. And then my sister ended up getting it. I wasn't digging at her nose,
I was actually going to ask, did you touch her at all?
I did.
Yeah. Did you kiss her?
I can't remember if I did. Yeah. I might have, but I don't remember if I did. I don't want to lie and say I did, but yeah. That was the part that was just like another Like just like okay, logical. Just
Yeah.
this is a dead body. You know.
You don't remember like even touching her hands or anything?
I definitely remember touching her. I don't remember where. Probably her hands.
Yeah, I did touch her hands. There were people who were kissing her. I was too afraid to kiss her. So what I did was I kissed my hand and then I put on her cheek. And I remember that was enough to be like, I'm glad I didn't kiss you.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Now that I think I didn't kiss her because I definitely felt weird about everybody kissing her because I was like, she don't want y'all touching her like that.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I just remember like, a cheek feels like a cheek. And I remember when I touched it, I was expecting that. And it was so hard and so cold. And I was just like, well, yeah, I'm not doing that again. That was the only thing that I did.
Is there any part of the grief process that has been like not so depressing?
Yeah.
Like, do you have like happy moments or funny moments?
Yeah, all the time.
Same.
We have a dark sense of humor, you and I. So it's like, I mean, just this past Mother's Day, like there was a Snapchat filter that was like me and my mom. And I was like, let me put a picture of a skeleton. So, but it's like things like that. I think people think that it has to be this like dark thing.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so much beauty in death. Like you have to find peace in it and like really trust that, I mean, we're all going to die eventually. And, some, like you said, sometimes we're fortunate to have more time with others than we aren't. But it's me looking at death as a resource in the sense, not like I'm going to, kill myself if I don't do it. But just like knowing that like we don't have tomorrow and that nothing is promised, it's given me so much courage to like go after my goals, tell people that I love them more, be more present.
That part.
Be more grateful, like all of those things. So there's nice parts in the grieving.
For me, jokes are necessary.
100%.
It keeps me from being a wreck.
Yeah.
Like I have to make me and my sisters make jokes. Well, me and one of my sisters make more jokes than the rest of us. Like her sense of humor is not as dark as ours, but she can go there with me. It's like, I think it was the past Thanksgiving or one Thanksgiving that we went to. And somebody made the comment like, "Oh, I wonder what she's eating up there." And I was like, I don't know if I want to repeat this.
I mean, depending on what it is, I don't know.
It was like, I wonder what she's eating up there, and I was like, probably dirt.
Probably dirt.
Because she's in the ground. Like, I was.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah,
okay.
like.
But see, it's things like that.
Have
to me, it makes me feel like I'm teasing my mom. And I think that's what makes me have peace with it. Because I know if she was here, I'd be like on her all the time. Yeah. Like I would, the same way that I am with my other family members, I'd be giving her shit.
Yeah. If I can make a joke about it, I definitely will. Mm-hmm. But there are times where it's like, well, I don't know if you have this, but it's like, you'll have a sad thought about it. Mm-hmm. And I have to trick myself out of it.
No, I just let myself have the sad thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Sometimes I allow myself to do it, but like, let's say I'm having a sad thought at work, and I'm like, girl, I can't cry in front of my coworkers. Like, it's not happening today.
Well, you know what? This year on her birthday, I genuinely wasn't sad for myself. I felt really, really sad for her. And that was different for me. I've never felt that way. But I woke up and I thought, because I was supposed to be born on May 1st. I was supposed to have her birthday. Mm-hmm. And I just thought about like, okay, well, I just got back from Hong Kong and Bali for my birthday and like all these great things. And I was feeling so like on top of the world. And then her birthday comes and I'm like, I am getting closer to her age every year that she didn't have. And I'm like, it was I didn't know how to deal with that type of pain. Like it was like, I genuinely felt like, you know how you asked me earlier if I felt robbed? There was a moment where I felt like you were the one who was robbed and not me. Look at how much I've been able to do. Like you didn't even have a cell phone. Like,
yeah.
So I think that was different, but I did let myself feel that way. And I let myself like be okay with not understanding it and be okay with feeling sad about it and being okay with just knowing that like, whatever purpose that she had or whatever it is that she was supposed to do, then she fulfilled it in that time.
To that point, a lot of my grief for her death is like for the life that she didn't have. I deal with that a lot,
Yeah.
and I sometimes I have to remind myself, like, at the end of the day, it's not my burden to carry, like, things that she wasn't able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes I wonder, like, if she was ever really in love, or like if she was ever really happy, or if she ever like had a job that she really liked, or if she had something that she wanted to do and like couldn't get to.
I think that's where it comes into, like I said, like having that blank canvas to do all of those things. Like, something that I didn't know about is that my mom wanted to travel a lot. I never knew that. And my godmother was the one who told me. She's like, I want you to know it's so weird to see you do the things that you do. And I was like, why? She's like, because you do everything that your mom talked about doing. And I was like, I had no idea. But I just feel like it's nice to have a blank canvas where we can create our own thing. Like, I know I found out recently that my mom wanted to go to Italy. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do that for you. I'll go to Italy for you. But like, it's not something that, I mean, I would still want to go to Italy, but I'm going now with a different intention. So I feel like for you, the way that you could free yourself of that burden is not like feel pressure to like have a happy marriage or do this or do that. But like, if you do something that you know that she didn't have an opportunity to do it, be present and give it your all.
Is there anything you wish you could have done with your mom while
Oh my God, the list goes on. So there's nothing, I don't think there's anything that I don't think I would have done, to be honest. We were really, really close. And so I think just like the small things, like, I don't know what it's like to text or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's really the smaller things. It's like, I even think about like me having a kid one day, and I'm like, they won't have a grandma. Like, I love my grandma. I can imagine not having a grandma or growing up without one. It's like things like that I think about. So there's so much. What about you?
It's little stuff too. And that goes into like a lot of guilt. Like, I wish I had like sat her down and interviewed her. Like, I really wish I had asked her like a list of questions, like, what was your childhood like? And she was born in the 60s. I'm like, well, did you experience like racism? Did you like those type of things?
Yeah.
And then there's things like, okay, I'll tell you a dream I had.
Okay.
Because remember I told you I had a really nice dream about her not too long ago. Okay. She would just for like what's the word I'm looking for, like I guess reference, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Like, to be clear, like, I love my mother to death, but we didn't have a perfect relationship. Like, we argued and fussed like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? And to a point where it was like that was a contributing factor to me moving to Houston, which contributes to more guilt, right?
Yeah.
But like, the relationship wasn't perfect, but I love her no less, right? But she would just be like in a good mood, and she'd be like, step with me. You know what stepping is? If y'all don't know what stepping is, it's really like a Chicago
step, right? That's some R. Kelly stuff.
Midwest thing, like, you know, it's a form of dancing, stepping. Yeah. Just think of like Robert. But she would ask me to step with her, and I would be like, no, I don't want to do that. You know, like, I don't feel like doing that right now. Like, that's not fun for me. You want to do it, you do it by yourself. I had a dream recently
that y'all were stepping. Period.
She asked me to step with her, and I did it.
I love that.
And I just remember waking up from that dream being like, because I have dreams about her, and I write them all down. Like, some dreams were like arguing, some dreams were like having fun or whatever. But this dream, I remember feeling like not so bad about refusing to step with her when she was here, because like that dream was kind of like, I feel like people who've passed come to you in dreams on purpose. Yeah, well,
can you tell her to stop showing up to mine dead? Okay.
So I remember that dream made me feel really good, and when I woke up, I felt good about it, but I still felt guilt, because I was like,
I don't think you should feel guilty about certain things. Like, it's so interesting when I hear you speak about stuff.
I wish I wouldn't, but I don't know how to turn it off.
I think it's all about perspective, and like, you have to think, like, you're younger. Like, even if she was here, I'm sure that you wouldn't be like stepping with her every single time. There's times where my grandma calls me and I don't answer the phone, and there's part of me that's like, oh my God, this could be the last time that she calls you, or oh my, like with anyone. But I also free myself of that guilt because I call people when they don't answer, and people tell me no, and that don't mean that they hate me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like I get it because it was so unexpected. But even with my mom being sick, there were times where she's like, let's cuddle. And I'm like, I don't want to cuddle right now. Like, girl, you know, like she knew what was going on, which is why she's like, let's cuddle. Because she's like, I want to spend time with my kid. And I'm more like, you're my mom and I'm freaking 9 years old. I want to go play outside. I don't want to lay in this bed with you, you know?
Yeah. Are there any holidays besides Mother's Day that are like particularly triggering or no?
No. Honestly, no. Listen, I'm true to this. Y'all are new to this. This is different. This is different for me. Yeah, I don't really have any, like... The other day, my cousin was telling me, she's like, you handle things so, like, differently. And, like, she's like, I'm so glad that you're, like, at so much peace with it and you haven't, like you could have done a whole different thing. And, like, I don't know. It wasn't something that, like, I've ever put a lot of intention behind. I think it just happened for me. Like, I wish that there was something that I could share, like, as a trick or as, like, a secret. But I think
I was going to ask, like, do you have any ways to, like...
Right. I think what I would say to that is I've never wanted any sympathy. I remember getting sympathy early on, and I hated, like, I worked hard to be in this room, and I remember, like, thinking, oh, it's not a big deal. And I remember telling people, I was working in a law firm, and they were like, oh, what is your mom doing? I was like, oh, my mom passed away. And they're like, okay, sorry, what is your dad doing? I was like, I don't have a dad. And the energy shifted in the room, and I remember everyone feeling sorry for me, and I hated the way that it felt. So I started lying to people, and I'd be like, oh, my mom is like a travel agent, or she does this, whatever, just because I didn't want people to treat me different. And so I would say, don't treat yourself different. Like, still believe in yourself. Don't feel less than, because, there's times where my insecurities creep up, even when it comes to having a partner, where I'm like, my partner's not going to experience having a mother-in-law. They're not going to experience, like I almost feel like I'm bringing them less to the table in a sense, because, like, they will be stripped away of the things that I won't necessarily be, unless I find someone without a parent too. I don't know, but I don't want that. So make sure your mom is alive, because I already don't have one. But yeah, don't treat yourself different. Give yourself the same credit, and just, like, I don't know, I've never let it limit myself. I've never looked at myself as, like, I'm a statistic, or I have to be this now, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. I've always just been like, I'm going to live my life like if she's here. And I think that's what I've done.
To that point, though, like, when people ask about my mom, I just don't say anything. Like, there have been times at work, like, they'll be like, oh, well, I remember one time, like, they were giving out, like, gifts, and I had got a gift that I didn't really want, and I was like, whatever. And
let me guess, they said, give it to your mom.
Yeah. And I was like, no. Like, I just don't say anything about it.
Yeah.
I don't explain it. I don't even know.
Did you ever get caught up? I got caught up doing that once. I was like, she wouldn't like this. And then, like, a couple weeks later, they're like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that your mom passed. And I was just like, who told you?
Yeah, they don't know. Not the people at my job, they don't know. Not that I don't think they know.
When do you think, we should have talked about this on the relationship episode. When do you think it's too soon to tell the person that you're talking to? Like, is that something you can disclose on the first date?
I don't know. I think it just needs to come up whenever it does. If it comes up the first date, then sure.
Sometimes I like to just get it out the way. Like, all right, yes, I'm here. My mom died. Tell me that you're sorry, and let's get on with this date.
Yeah, but I don't like that, because as sad as it is, like, people want to handle you with kid gloves after they find out. And I'm like, it's not that deep, babe. Like, I
usually make a joke, though, to, like, soften it. Like it's a million years. Like, she's dust already. It's okay.
Yeah, me too. Like, and then they also don't know how to respond to the joke.
I know. They're very like, are you traumatized? Like, why would you say that? Yeah, no, I get it.
Obviously it's trauma, but I'm having fun right now. Let's dance. Like, let's dance. Like, I don't want to be sad about it all the time. So when people ask about it, I'm like, I either make a joke or I, like, don't fully explain it. Mm-hmm. And I rarely say, like, she died. I have a hard time using that word.
Died? What do you say, like, passed?
I have a hard time with that either. I just be like,
She's not here.
She's not here right now.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah. Something that I wanted to mention that I was saving this for. And I've noticed this trend now, kind of being a veteran in this like death shit. I've noticed that we tend to like pick up either habits or just like mannerisms of our mother.
Oh my God.
And so that's the whole time when I'm like, oh, you're so old. And you're like, oh, I'm noticing I'm like my mom, I'm like this. Eventually that's going to fade. And it's not going to be something conscious. Like it's going to go away because I used to be the same way. And recently, a couple months ago, this guy that like I met, he was just like totally emotionally unavailable. Like his mom was sick and he was never hanging out. And I was like, you know, I don't really think this is for us. And he's like, honestly, like I didn't know how to tell you, but my mom is sick. She's going to die. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll be your friend though. And so she ended up passing and he like reached out to me. But hearing him, and he's older than us, he's in his 40s. And he was just like, yeah, I'm going to channel her today. Like I'm going to do something this way or that way. And I think it's just part of the healing process. I don't think that I'm like, I used to be very intentional about it. Like I almost felt like I have to obey my mom. I have to obey her. I have to do this. I have to do that. And now I'm just kind of like, but yeah, I see that you're in that like full embodiment of her.
I don't really have those things like I need to do this like her because she did these things. It's just more so like, it's just like routine. Like I just do stuff because that's even little stuff like her whole side of the family, like they all have very similar laughs. And all of my sisters and me are getting that laugh. So sometimes even if I hear myself chuckle, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm like I get triggered because I'm like I hear her instead of just like me laughing.
Yeah.
But it's like little stuff like that. I don't really have a seance, you know.
So I wasn't like bring out the table.
Yeah, I'm not on those vibes because like that's a little bit much. I do want to go see like what do you call it? A medium.
A medium. I've thought about it, but I also feel like if there's something that I'm supposed to know, I think the message will come to me. Okay. So I've gone back and forth with the idea, but I'm like, I don't think that there's anything that I need from her right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I need anything.
Yeah.
I just kind of like I'm inquisitive. I need to know.
Yeah,
stuff.
like I feel like if I went to a medium, they'd probably be like, she used to call you this name, and I'd be like, yep. And she knows what you're doing. Yep. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's like, they're going to tell me things I think I already know or that I already believe. Like, I don't feel like there's anything that I would get out of it other than like maybe a good cry. Like, oh my God, you are watching and this is proof. Like, you know what I mean? I think it would just be the same thing for me.
How do you feel about being a total orphan though? Now.
Oh, are we at this part?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool.
He said being an orphan is lit, actually.
Yeah, it is pretty lit. Again, people have this idea that we are like crying all the time and we're just like so depressed. And when you think about an orphan, I don't know about you, but I think of like dingy clothes and like being in this like abandoned building where like no one remembers you and you're just like,
that's what they taught us orphans were.
Right. And it's like this horrible word and people use it sometimes like to be nasty to people. And it's like, I go back to this blank canvas thing. Like, I just feel like the world is my oyster. Like, I am an orphan. And if I'm wearing rags, okay, well then I'm wearing rags. But like, I think it matters of like, what am I going to do with this? Like, how can I use this to my advantage without having it be like a handout? Like I'm so against shortcuts. I'm so against all of that stuff because I'm like, no, I can still fucking do this. I can still compete with you. Like, fuck you, you know?
I don't know if being orphan is lit, but I really just...
It's fun. It's like...
I just kind of operate in that space because I have no choice, you know?
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know. To me, it's fun.
What's fun about it?
Like,
what makes it fun?
I think just the idea of not, like... my mom wasn't like this. Like, did your mom know that you were gay? Did you guys have a conversation? Yeah. We never had that conversation. I didn't even know myself. I mean, I knew, but I like didn't know. And she bought me the share
the
CD.
language for it.
Yeah. So I don't know how that relationship would have been. I know that like my godmother said that they did have a conversation about it before because like my mom was like, I think this. And so like they were totally okay with it. But I remember her also telling me that like that she would be okay with me, but she didn't want me to be a drag queen. And it's I actually don't find drag queens entertaining at all, but like I literally thought like I would love to piss her off and just dress in drag and go to the cemetery just to do it, but I would feel uncomfortable myself being in drag. But again, just to like, you know, push her buttons. But that was, I got sidetracked, sorry. The point is, I think it's fun in the sense of me being able to be who I want to be without worrying about disappointing anyone, or like feeling like I need to do this or I should be doing that. I guess for me, the liberty, even though I never had that structure, just like seeing some of my other friends who feel a certain type of way, or like, and they're phenomenal parents, stuff like that. I don't know. I think I just find peace in the liberty of it all. And I think that's what's lit, because I'm like, well, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
I guess I don't think about it that much, because I just always have done that, you know? Like my mom, she let the reins go pretty early, like before I turned 18. So it wasn't like a lot of stuff that I felt like I would disappoint her with, because it was just like, what you gonna do, beat my ass? No, you're not gonna do it. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Do you feel like it's a flex for you sometimes, like being an orphan? For me, it is. I'm just like, you got all this help and you still not doing what I'm doing.
Oh, I see what you mean. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm stronger because of it, because like I know for sure I can, as they say, get it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I really have he
do not want to be black for real. You seen how he just said get it out the mud like it's a crime?
I just don't. I look at some people and I'm like, wow, it's so great that you have parents who can help you. And my dad is still alive, but he might as well not be.
Yeah, I mean, my dad is alive too. I haven't talked to him since I was 19.
And to that point, like he came to my mom's funeral. It was just like,
oh, he didn't even go to my mom's.
He didn't pay. He didn't put a dime on it. So that was like the final nail in his coffin for me. It was like, you know, you couldn't have shown up all this time, and then you show up to the funeral without a penny to hand me.
I love that we both killed our dads. Like there was some, because during that time, that's also when I killed him.
Yeah.
Because my mom was married and I was not trying to be with him, and all he needed to do was sign a paper saying like, I'll take custody. And like my family was like, we're not going to leave you with him. Like we will sign our names first saying that we want him and you're signing him over to us. And he was just like, no, my wife doesn't know that I have other kids. And I was just like, you haven't done one thing for me, and all I need you to do is sign a paper, and you're not going to do it. And so that was like literally the last where I was just like, I don't need you.
Yeah, you just kind of figure stuff out without parents, especially getting older. But
I want us to continue to rewrite what it actually means to be an orphan. I love that there's this narrative, and I love that being in it is completely opposite of what people think it is. Of course we cry, of course we feel sad, but it's not this like gloomy thing all the time. And so I think like even with you being black, being gay, you have all these roadblocks in front of you.
Are they roadblocks?
But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's so many people who may have this in common with us, who don't feel that way, who feel like this is stopping them and they can't do this because of that, or they can't be more, or they can't be who they want to be, whatever it is. And I feel like we've been fortunate enough to be blessed with some form of wisdom to make it as far as we have. I mean, just like even you doing this podcast, you focusing on your creative endeavors, you relocating, like all of those things, and you're still pushing and you're still doing it.
You said something earlier, and it made me think like, I fear death less now that my mom is gone.
Do
you have that feeling?
I'm like not afraid. Like I don't want it to happen. Right. If anything, I'm more listening. Like, if anything, I've made more like. I think the real time was when I went skydiving in Hawaii. I hate heights. And I remember being so afraid that I was like telling my mom like, please calm me down. Like that was the only thing. But then I also was feeling like, well, if I die, I guess I'll get to see you. So it's not that bad.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Yeah. It's like if I died, I know what's on the other side, and that's okay. But not in a rush.
Yeah, not in a rush at all. I think if anything, my biggest fear is not having enough time to do other things that I want to do in this life versus like actually like that happening.
Do you have any other things you want to cover on this topic of grief?
You didn't ask, you didn't mention what your favorite memory is.
Oh, memories don't live like people.
Our mamas do.
See the jokes. I don't know if I have a favorite. I'm trying to think. Do you have one?
Not a favorite, but when you asked, well, I told you this earlier. I was like, I don't remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember my mom's voice. I told you that before too. I'm not even sad about those things because I'm very like based in reality. Like I'm not delusional. Like I know it's gonna happen, and as I get older, I'm gonna forget even more. But when you asked about favorite TV shows, a TV show that was very unexpected of I think both of us to like was Hannah Montana. That was like a show we made fun of together, like when we would see the previews, and then when we watched that first season together, and we fucking loved it. And that didn't, but do you see, like that didn't come to me until you started talking to me and digging deep, and I was like, damn, what TV shows did I watch as a kid? Yeah. And then that came up. And Courage the Cowardly Dog, we used to watch that all the time. That was her favorite.
Me and my mom used to watch Family Feud.
Did you guys like participate? Did you like? Yeah.
I would come home from work and she would be on the couch. It came on at a certain time. I would watch it for those 30 minutes and I would go about my business. Well, I think it was like 2 episodes back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just fun. Unlocked more memories. Did your mom ever make you stay home from school to spend time with her?
Oh, not on purpose. I don't think.
There were days where my mom wouldn't get me up for school because she wanted to like be with me.
That's
and then
so
we
cute.
would I would do this and it's funny because I'm thinking like I'd probably do the same thing, and we would watch Oprah.
Okay.
We would watch like Judge Judy, stuff like that. We would do things that like I forgot about that shit. I need to start writing stuff down.
Yeah, not on purpose, but I do remember staying home from school with her and like watching all the daytime stuff, like the soaps, all the court shows.
Yep.
Maury.
Oh my God, yeah, Maury. Do you remember like little small details, like maybe like the way that she like maybe when she would dress when you were younger, or like the way that she would smell when you were younger, or like when she would get ready?
When I was younger, she was way more feminine. Like she had a purse, she had a pair of heels that I used to play in when she would go to work, and I used to pretend that I was on Jerry Springer.
Oh my God.
She had like this big beige purse that she had for years. And like I had hair at the time when I was younger, and my dad cut my hair without her permission.
Wow.
And so she kept my braids in this purse. Yeah, little stuff like that. Even like the car that I was describing, I don't know if that was this episode or another episode. The big Chrysler.
Yeah, that was adulthood. Yeah.
I remember us going into Target and me seeing that, and I'm like, I want that. She's never gonna pay $100 for that though, because it was $100.
Wow.
And like back in like 2005, $100 is a lot of goddamn money.
Yes.
That's probably like maybe like $175 now. I don't know. That's just my guess.
Did you have a favorite gift that you were given?
It was that.
That was the favorite one.
But you know what happened? She bought it the same day, and it was well before Christmas, and we wrapped it up. And on Christmas Day, I was like, "Oh my gosh!
Oh my!
I can't believe you got this for me." But
you already knew.
Yeah.
My favorite was, and I actually joke about this with my godmother, because single parents, they wasn't making no money like that.
No.
And I got a PS2, like the PS2 Slim. I got that for one of my birthdays, and I remember getting it, but with no games. And I remember when I opened it, like I was so excited. It's like, I want to play. And they were like, well, no, you don't got no games. You got to wait for 2 weeks. And like, I still clown them because I'm like, y'all were so broke, because this was a joint gift. It said from Titi Cindy and Mom. I was like, so y'all went half on this and you still couldn't get me no games. But that was one of my favorite things, like looking back as a kid, because I remember just being so like,
yeah,
wow, I have a PlayStation.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know if this is my favorite memory, but it is one of the more recent ones. When I surprised her for her birthday in 2020, that's something I always think about, because she wasn't expecting me. I told her I wasn't coming. And thankfully we have like footage of that moment of me like surprising her and stuff. And she was just so happy to see all of her kids together, all her grandkids for her birthday. So I think that's probably up there because it's more recent. Mm-hmm. It's the one I can remember.
You know, I had like my intention. I know we're getting close to time, and my intention was like, we're gonna close this with something like soft. But I actually have a question for you. How do you think not having parents and still grieving? I think grieving is a lifelong thing. It's never going to go away for us. And I remember thinking very early on, like, I just got to graduate high school. And then, like, once I get it over that graduation, it'll be fine. And then it was like, oh, no, then college. Then it was like, my first apartment, my first car, my first, all those things. How do you think with this type of grieving and that we'll have to endure our whole life, how do you think that affects relationships in your dating? For you specifically, not just as a whole, but for where you are currently right now.
For me specifically, I don't know if this answers the question, but I had this feeling, not immediately after she died, but I remember feeling like there's not a heartbreak that can destroy me as much as this has. Ooh. So I think in terms of my approach to dating, it's always like, it's not going to hurt that bad, even if it doesn't work out. And it kind of contributes to why I don't do it, because it's like, I don't really care. Like,
okay,
this much.
We're going to come full circle now. You ready? So do you remember when I told you at the beginning of this episode how what triggered my depression was that first breakup? Mm-hmm. It's because I thought the exact same way that you did. And so I lied to myself that I didn't love this person as much as I did. Mm-hmm. I didn't care if this happened or that happened or whatever happened. And then when it did happen, I felt so empty because I felt like I didn't, like, not empty. It's weird because I felt so empty, but I felt so full because I was like, I have all these feelings and I didn't give them to you like at the time. I mean, he was the wrong person for me anyway. But the point is that like I lied to myself for so long thinking like, nothing. If I went through this, nothing's gonna hurt me. Yeah. And in fact, it triggered that depression because I felt angry. Like if I didn't go through this, then I would be happy in this relationship, or I would do this, or I would be able to express myself. Like I was very much so like that. So yeah, don't do that to yourself.
Okay. I'll see what I can do about that.
You're gonna talk to your reps.
Talk to my people.
Talk to your people.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you think?
No, I'm actually quite ready to stop talking about this.
Well, I will just end this by saying I think where I'm at now, I don't have everything figured out, but I'm definitely at a good place where I can openly talk about things and not feel dull or empty afterwards or feel, so I think for me with dating, it's going to be more of work outside of grievance, which is just like not feeling insecure that like I won't have, like they won't have a mother-in-law or like grandparents or things like that. I think most of my fears right now with the grievance, which terrifies me, is like, how do I, like what do I do when I do have kids? Like first birthday, like all of those things, like I'm already like overwhelming myself with emotionally because I'm like, how do I grieve this and celebrate this? And like, if anything, those bring more tears to me than when I think about like, oh my God, my mom is dead. Like, I think like, oh my God, you'll never see my children. Like, I mean, you will because, whatever. But yeah.
If I can impart anything on anybody listening or watching, it's just,
don't lie on your dead mama.
Well, just go at your own pace. What I learned, I don't know, I don't remember exactly where I heard this, but I remember somebody saying like, grief is a part of love. If you love somebody and they go, you're gonna grieve them, and you should. If that's like part of the process. Don't beat yourself up for being sad about it. You can try not to get stuck there, but you really just got to go at your own pace and just like,
you do
kind of like honor them with the grief and be like, I am grieving because I love you. And this is not always going to be a sad thing. This is not always going to be like a depressing thing, but this is just something I have to go through. as time goes on.
And there'll be a lot of happy tears too.
Yeah.
A lot of happy tears.
Yeah.
I think something that it's funny how like I feel like the universe gives us things when we're early to prepare us, and sometimes you just have to look for it. So like, remember I told you like Selena was the artist that I loved, and I found out later on that she died.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously I've kept up with her, I guess legacy, whatever, and it's been almost 30 years since she's been dead. And like her sister will talk about her, and the way that she talks about her, I'm like, yeah, this isn't ever gonna go away. Yeah. Like she will say like there's times where like I feel like I can't breathe, like where she's like, okay,
I know we're ending, but I do have more questions now.
I mean, we don't have to end it right now. Listen, but she was like, I know we like gave you like we ended and then we're like, actually we're coming right back.
She just made me think of something else.
She said, she's like, I feel like I can't breathe sometimes. Like there's times where I feel like I can't even hear her voice. Like it feels so overpowering that she's gone, and like that I'm still here, and like that I have no one to like call my sister. Like that to me is like real grief. Like you said, it's love, and there's nowhere to put it, and the only way that she can do it is by like keeping her memory alive. And so I think of that too for me, where I'm like, okay, like we're not done. We don't know what we don't know, and I just know how to navigate maybe some of the things that have come early on, like maybe within the first 4 or 5 years, like relationships and stuff like that, but it's never going to end. And it's just a matter of you, like you said, honoring it and accepting it and saying, I feel this way because I love you.
I wanted to ask, is there anything that particularly triggers you into sadness?
Yes,
about
there is.
Her passing.
Mm-hmm. It's actually, yeah. It's actually a song, and it's Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper. So she was a really big... But you gonna make me sing the song right now? It's If You're Lost, You Can Look. You will find me time after time. If you're falling, I'll catch you. I'll be there time after time. And so it's... For some reason, that song just kind of like latched on to her because she always loved Cyndi Lauper. I told you, like, Madonna, all those people. And
pop girly
for sure. And during the funeral, like, I don't know if you guys had this, but there was like a space where like there's like video, like pictures, like a, what do you call it, like a montage or whatever, where like the pictures are going and there's music. And so her best friend made the video. They like got together, got all the pictures. Mind you, I can't even imagine grieving a friend, like your best friend for that many years, and going through pictures and putting that shit together, like soul wrenching. But she put all the music that they made mixtapes together, and like so she didn't really know what the music was on there. Like some of it was like dance music and like freestyle and just beats and like house music, and that was like the song that was. It just, I don't know, it just like hit all of us like at the same time, like it, because there were other sad songs in there, but like it felt like a wave. So that's the only song that really like will trigger me, and I've actually heard that song twice on vacation. So once I was in Paris, and I went to the gym, and they play all French music. I was already there for a week. There was no English music, and that song came on, and I was just like, all right, I gotta go. I know you're here. It's like, and I left the gym. And then last year when I was in Fiji, we're getting in like a boat, middle of fucking nowhere, and the song was on, and I was just like, all right, okay. But it depends on the situation, because when I went to the cemetery that I told you that year that I was crying, like ugly crying, I wasn't listening to that song, and I told Siri, and I swear to God on everything that I love, my family, everything, I told Siri, I said, play Nicki Minaj. I said, hey Siri, play Nicki Minaj Freedom. And she said, got it. Playing Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper. I swear to God. And it like started, and then that's why I was just even more of a wreck.
Yikes.
Yeah. But I feel like after us talking about this, if I heard the song now, then I would cry. But it would be like happy tears. It wouldn't be like sad. I think it's just because we've unearthed the emotions, so they're present. So like just hearing it would feel nice.
It's music for me too. Like
what
even
song?
When I talked about earlier,
sing it.
Like her pictures.
Yeah.
I can't, if I look at the picture for more than a few seconds, it's a wrap for the rest of my day. You know. Or if I scroll on my camera roll and see a picture of her somewhere, it's like it's a wrap. Then,
like it'll throw your whole day off, or you'll just cry in the moment.
It'll throw a good portion of my day off if I let it. Yeah. Sometimes like it'll hit me at work. Cause like I listen to like a lot of her music. Like I made a playlist for her of all her songs that she liked, and I named it Gigi. And sometimes I'll just
That's cute.
press shuffle on it. Cause I mean, there's some bops. Okay, she used to listen to some good shit. One song in particular, "Last $2" by Johnny Taylor. I'm sure you've never heard it. It's a really old school song. These last $2, I'm not gonna lose. One going for the bus fare, one going for the jukebox to hit me some blues.
I thought I was gonna say one going for the juice. I was like, period.
If that, like any songs that kind of like sound like something that she would have listened to, or songs that I know she liked, sometimes those trigger me. But
oh my God, those bring me so much joy.
Sometimes they will bring me joy. Like sometimes I wake up in the morning and I play those songs.
Yeah,
but
like
if they come on randomly and I'm not expecting it,
I feel like those are little gifts, though. I think that's what makes me feel so happy about it. Yeah. Like if I'm unexpecting it, like and it comes, I'm just like, oh my God, this was so cute. Yeah. Like you would have loved this. Like there's times where
I have a lot of those too.
Yeah, like Bad Bunny. I'm like, she would have fucking probably loved Bad Bunny.
Yeah. But even songs that she probably didn't even know about, like I can't listen to like Halo by Beyonce.
Really?
I can't listen to like
do you ever go to old stuff that she had for guidance?
Like songs?
Maybe song. Like I feel like even if our loved ones are gone, like they still find ways to communicate with us.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And like, do you feel like going into like her old trinkets and little tricks and stuff like that, do you feel like it's given you any guidance?
I don't know about guidance, but I do like sometimes if something comes to me randomly, I'm fully aware that it's probably her sticking her head in, like, you know, checking on me.
Yeah. So recently my mom's favorite artist was Prince. Like that was her Nicki Minaj. That was what he was to her. And so I was on the plane on my way back and I was watching like Snapped, you know, crime stuff, and I was like, like let me watch something. And then the Prince movie, The Color Purple, was no, is it The Color Purple? Purple Rain.
Like Sealy.
Got my black people mixed up. And so I watched it, and I've seen the movie before, but watching it as an adult, I was like, yo, this was a cool movie. Yeah. And so, but in the back of my mind, I kept feeling like, you know, we're getting older, and you know, I have this thing about getting older. And I just kept feeling like, damn, like, I wish that I could talk to her about this. Like, that was my whole thing. And so, like, to bring me peace, just to feel closer to her, because I knew I couldn't ask, I watched the movie. And I really wanted to see Purple Rain live. So I was like, I wonder if he could sing. So I pulled up a live performance, and before he started singing, he gave a speech, and he was like, birthdays is just another day. Like, it's just another day. It's not, birthdays are not real. You're only born once. And you keep evolving, and and it was about age and like getting older and everything. And I was just like, all right, I got the answer that I needed. So like, that was something that I think that I've just been more open to. So like, when things like that happen, I'm not saying how to grieve, but like when songs pop up or like little things come up and it triggers you, maybe like walk into it, like embrace it and let it do what it's trying to do. And like feel it.
If I have nothing to do that day, sometimes I will.
If you have nothing to do that day.
But like if I'm at work and the song comes on, I'm like I can't deal with this right now.
I mean, I'm not saying to not be professional, but I get it. Yeah. I get it. Like, but I mean, there's been times where I was even just going through a breakup and I would go to the bathroom and cry.
Yeah.
So I would say,
I have my moments.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to, and that's a part of grief. You just have to like let it happen sometimes. You can't fight it all the time.
Yeah.
What happens with me, and we talked about this, I am a bottler. So there will be instances where
that's why I'm telling you to walk into it, because I know how you are.
Not dealing with this today, weeks and months will go by, and then there will be one big eruption, and I'm just like destroyed for like a whole day. Like even today, talking about this nonsense.
I wanted to record this as the first like episode, and not first episode, but just like first one that we were going to start recording, and he was just like, no, let's go do something else. So I was like, okay. The next one comes in, I'm going to make a drink, I'm going to do this, I got to do that. Oh, my hair is not right. It was just like this whole process.
Like, I just would rather
But then it just tumbles. You see, like we've been talking about this for quite some time now, and now it's like yeah.
Well, this was a lovely conversation.
It was.
And I'm glad it's over.
No.
If you have any thoughts about grief, any tips you want to share, leave them in the comments.
Our questions. If you have any questions about anything, I feel like sometimes it's easy to feel like afraid to ask because you feel like you should figure this out or you should know.
Yeah. There's nothing to figure out.
Yeah.
You're probably never going to have it figured out. You just have to figure out how to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a child, like unexpectedly. Like now I have to care for a child.
Well, even if you plan for a child, I think it's still difficult.
I have to feed
so I get it.
I have to bathe
Yeah.
it. I have to clothe it. You kind of have to do the same thing with your grief. You kind of have to like nurture it a little bit in order for it to like coexist without destroying you.
Yeah. And there's no, like, you can't skip any steps either. Like there isn't any like shortcut or like you just have to, like, in order for you to learn how to live with it, you have to be with it. Yeah.
It's true.
No amount of alcohol, no amount of anything will get rid of it.
And on that note, like I haven't smoked weed in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's been harder to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because usually I can be like, oh, let me light a blunt. Get rid of this real quick.
Drinking Henny through a straw.
Yeah. Well, we're actually gonna end it now.
Yeah, we're gonna end it now because I was about to say something, but let's
Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube at Blackberry and come check us out next week for another episode.
Bye.
Bye.
See, that wasn't that hard. You hated it. You did great. You were so vulnerable, and